This is Palm Beach Live, Work, Play. I'm Tim Bird, the Birdman, and we're very happy to be with Sheriff Rick Bradshaw in the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. This is up close and personal. Sheriff Bradshaw, thank you again for your time.
Thanks for being here.
It's always a pleasure to be here. And it's pretty obvious in our society here, in the year 2015, that there are lots of new, fresh challenges that a lawman faces with the entire agency that you run here, from internet, social platforms. I mean, crime and evil people are lurking everywhere. Lots of new, fresh challenges. Can you talk to me about that, please, sir?
Well, the biggest challenge right now is keeping your personnel motivated, especially the average deputy on the street. He sees the negativity that's out there. He has seen, you know, the news reports and a certain faction of people that, quite frankly, are bashing law enforcement across the nation. And sometimes the issues itself are issues that need to be talked about, but in other things, they're drawing a wide conclusion and painting law enforcement with a broad brush across the spectrum. And it all started with, obviously, what's going on with Ferguson. But what we found out with Ferguson, and came to pass, is everybody jumped to conclusions real quick. It's like the hands up, don't shoot. That never happened. It was never, ever a part of the scenario. But look how many people adopted that particular phrase, even as far as NFL players are concerned. So people were quick to make conclusions, quick to form judgments. And of course, you know, this affects the morale every day. And you want to motivate your people to, you know, they got to get out of these cars. They got to get into areas that are going to be difficult with people to deal with. And they want to think that the community's behind them, and they want to think that the agency will stand behind them in their actions. And that's the real challenge right now. The sad part about it is this. This is a small faction of people that have blamed everything that is going on in society on law enforcement. There's the silent majority that's out here are people that appreciate what law enforcement does, appreciates what the deputies do in their neighborhoods, and stand behind us. But again, the reason it's called the silent majority is you don't see them. I mean, where are the protests? Where are the people marching in the street about the 2 officers that got shot? They're not there, right? And that's the problem we're dealing with. People need to stand up and say, you know what? We want you to be there. Because at the end of the day, we are that thin line between the bad guys and the good people. So keeping the troops motivated is tough to do. I can tell you right now, I've been doing this for 45 years. It's as bad as I've ever seen it. So that's the biggest challenge. And of course, along with all that is the challenge of the day-to-day crime. Right? Over the past 5 years, we've lowered the crime rate here about 25% in 5 years. That's pretty good.
That's tremendous,
yeah,
actually.
and that's including all of the cities and the county. So, you know, we're making a really good effort, and we want to keep that effort going. And we do so many good things in the community. The deputies help out people in the communities. They go into the communities. They make the connections they're supposed to be making. And like I say, there's a vast majority of the people that are the good people that will come forward and tell the deputy, I appreciate what you're doing. It's just they're not as vocal as some other people that want to get their agenda across.
Would you go so far? You know, a lot of times when I see people in uniform, for instance, coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, parts all over the world, I'll say, thank you in passing. And they understand that I'm thanking them for their service. It wouldn't be a bad idea to start that with our police officers.
Yeah, you know what? A little bit of kindness and a nice word goes a long way. I mean, I was at a group this morning. There was probably 200 or 300 people there. A lot of people came up to me and said, you know what? Your agency's doing a good job. We see what they're doing in the community. We had a problem. They were right there to help us. And they walked over to a couple of the uniformed deputies and did exactly that. You know, it's a small thing in everybody's mind, but it's a huge thing to a deputy that, when you stop to think about it, most of his day is dealing with negativity. He's going to calls where everybody's got a problem, and he's supposed to go there and solve their problem, be cheerful and courteous, and then at the end of the day go home and try to put on a different face with the family, go home to his wife and kids and just be happily and bubbly. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. That's why the divorce rate is so high in this job, and you get into other issues where they have problems sometimes with alcohol abuse. It's because they bottle all these things up. And it's bad enough that they got to deal with this faction all day long, but when they get the outside influences trying to beat them up, it really magnifies that issue.
And here's a point that before we go that I wanted to bring up. Nobody calls the police or PBSO when things are good. Hey guys, everything's fine here. How you doing? It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
So they only deal with bad news and dangerous situations and the like. So I'm glad that we touched on that today, because when you stop and think about that, you go, wait, yeah, because people just have taken protection for granted, and it's time to be appreciative, really.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. And it goes without saying, what? We have issues that we have to deal with. We don't do everything exactly perfect, and we know that. But give us a chance to straighten it out. Talk to us. We'll work it out together, right? Because it has to be a we, not a us against them. And, we'll go forward. But we need each other. You need us, and we need you. So together we can get this thing straight. But we can't do it if we're trying to figure out who's to blame.
Sheriff Bradshaw, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
We're glad to have a man like this in charge of Palm Beach County. This is Up Close and Personal with Sheriff Rick Bradshaw on Palm Beach Live, Work, Play. I'm Tim Bird, and on our next video episode, we'll talk about medical marijuana. The issue's back again.